Derek, that was a fun one, and thank you for braving the cold, unlike me and Kyle and the snow, to get down there. Any big takeaways from whether it's Nurse, whether it's Embiid, Maxey, whoever it was? Oh, Paul George, obviously after the game. Anything notable from the post game?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot. I think for the most part, a lot of the conversation revolved around Jared. Obviously he has been down for quite a while now. Had that big fourth quarter the other night in complete garbage time, and then carried that over through this one. So a lot of Nick Nurse, a lot of Paul George. Obviously Jared was at the podium himself. A lot of that centered around him and getting himself back on track and what he's done over the last couple of weeks and months to keep get him back into a better spot mentally. So I think that is probably what the major focus was. And for the most part, it was just it was nice to see. You almost felt bad a little bit because it did seem like it was like, yeah, hey, you played great, but like, how tough were the last couple of months? How were you able to brave through this?
Yeah.
And it really felt like, yeah, it's great that we're talking about you making shots, but we're all also acknowledging that he has not been himself for quite a long time. So I think that was sort of the main takeaway there. And all I can say is personally, I'm just glad that they made a bunch of threes there in the second half, because I did not want to talk about the way they played defense really for the entirety of the game, because that was pretty atrocious.
We have also ignored the defense for the entire show, as I'm sure you're not surprised to learn. So, Derek, to piggyback on what you're saying here, we felt and talked about watching the game that we could feel the emotion, not just from Jared, but from the entire team. Like when he hit that three to send the Bucks into a timeout in the fourth quarter, VJ is going crazy, the bench is going crazy. Like, did that carry over into what you were seeing post game and just like the team kind of rallying around Jared as at this tough stretch he's been through?
No, I mean, he talked a lot about how all of his teammates have been great, how they've all been very supportive, encouraging him to shoot. He called out Joel Embiid specifically, about continuing to give him encouragement even through the downtimes and having confidence in his shot. So yeah, he certainly, he acknowledged that the team has been there for him. He was even asked at one point, like, hey, you're watching VJ succeed, you're watching Quentin go out there and play. Is it hard to have sort of like mixed feelings about like, I want them to do well, but I also want to make sure that I have a chance to get back on the floor and show what I can do? And, he, for the most part, said, no, like, this is you control what you control, put your best foot forward, and, see where things go from there. But he certainly, it was called out, some of the reactions from the bench when he made some of those threes. And, Jared, with the big bright smile, certainly looked like he was very, very receptive and very appreciative of the support that he's gotten.
Derek, speaking of reactions from the bench, did anybody in the post game talk about that Embiid dunk? I mean, that was I haven't seen that. Tyrese said on the broadcast that he had not seen that since his second year. I would have said longer ago than that. Like I don't really
like never.
Like yes.
No, he said Tyrese was bragging in the locker room about his clairvoyance, because he said he was going to throw Embiid a lob before the game, and he said he told Jared that he was going to get 4 threes in that game, and Jared actually ended up getting 5. So Tyrese was taking a lot of credit for his teammates' success. With that lob, at least he was able to directly claim some of that credit. But no, he joked about it. He said that he knew he was going to throw him one. It was certainly asked. I think we can all acknowledge that maybe Tyrese can joke that he saw it coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Even when Joel was sprinting down the floor, and I don't think he actually threw up a lob sign, but even when you saw that play developing, I don't think anybody truly expected that to play out, because we just haven't. To your point, I can't remember the last time we saw a lob to Joel.
I think we got to hit a quick overtime here, right, Rich?
Yeah, let's get the overtime.
Hit a quick overtime, everybody. Thanks for watching us on Fast. Conversation continues at allphly.com and on YouTube, so join us there.
Go ahead.
See, this is why we need Devon, because we know Devon will do that, but because it's you and I, we got to share responsibilities. So to finish off the McCain stuff for me, Derek, was there any discussion or any sense after the game of, I assume you're not going to pull a guy out of the rotation next game who goes 5 of 6 from 3, but with Grimes and all the extra bodies they have, did the topic come up of like, how do you handle this with Jared the rest of the week or even just next game?
It didn't come up directly, but I will say, like, it would, I kind of said this in our Discord earlier today, even acknowledging it was complete garbage time in Charlotte, but just with someone who's been through so much, if he didn't come out here and get a real sizable run to see if whether or not that could kickstart something in him, then I think it would be a real disservice. And the same thing I think holds true for Thursday. If after what he did today, regardless of whether or not Grimes comes back or not, if after the performance he had today, if he doesn't get a real shot to have significant and meaningful minutes on Thursday, I think you're doing him a disservice. Irrespective of what happens with Grimes, I think he has to play at least 20 minutes and has to play at least 20 minutes, even if he is struggling. Jared talked a little bit here tonight about how it is tough when you don't have much, leeway, when you don't have much rope, when you know that you don't have a constant spot in the rotation, a regular spot, a significant spot that you do press. And he's finally sort of feeling good about himself and his play for the first time in quite a while. He's got a 2-game stretch here where he's making shots. I think you have to give him a pretty sizable run here on Thursday, and really, hopefully, for the next couple of games, just to see whether he can get back on track, because it really is something where, as bad as he's played, and look, it's really hard on merit to say he has deserved more minutes over the last 4 weeks, over the last month, over the last 6 weeks, whatever it is. But it is one where, like, you watch it and they really need his shooting. They really need his ball handling. They really need somebody else to try to run a little bit of offense, even some second side stuff to make good decisions when Tyrese Maxey is on the bench. And he is one of the few players who have the capability of doing that. He's finally playing, like he's a little bit comfortable within himself. And I think you just have to play this out a little bit, in large part because even if Quentin does come back, it's not like Quentin was playing stellar basketball here for the last month himself either. So you finally have somebody rolling. I think you got to ride this for at least a couple of games to see what you have in your hands.
Derek, last one for me, and it's kind of funny that we're like 4 or 5 questions in and we haven't really discussed this guy yet. What was your favorite part from Paul George's game tonight?
I mean, just the fact that he was hunting threes. And look, it's easy to do that when the shot is going in, but there's so many times where it just feels like he should be getting more of them up. And I know Rich has talked about this in our Discord, but like the Sixers just lose the 3-point battle and the math battle so often. And part of that is like, look, Jared's not playing well, and because of that, he's not playing much, and he's one of your few real high volume 3-point shooters off the bench. Part of it's that you're just playing a lot of complete non-shooters in your rotation. Part of it's that Paul George, you would like to see him launch a little more freely and a little more comfortably when he has the opportunity to do so. I love the fact that he took those shots, and a lot of those shots, early on, he made a couple, then he got going, then they ran some stuff for him to try to get him open. But he also made a bunch of pretty tough shots. And it's just, he had confidence that we don't always see. And I give him a lot of credit because he is willing to play a role and to take a step back into the background when it calls for it. And, I don't want to see him trying to necessarily create like he's a 27-year-old Paul George again off the dribble, but I would like to see him take these nights where he's hot and really push the envelope. And it's really just, he got up 14 threes, and I love that.